Hi everybody, Sophia here from the Prenatal Snug, and today I am joined by Roxy and her wonderful little baby boy Ivan. So we have to speak shh so that Ivan doesn't wake up, and if he does, he's more than welcome to. So hi Roxy, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Oh good, I'm so happy to see you. And as I was just saying to you before, you just look so completely chilled out and natural with what's going on here. It's like, always
Oh,
here,
thank you.
Ivan's always been here. So we were just
Yeah.
chatting before. As a first-time mum, it's always difficult to kind of know what to expect during pregnancy, what to expect from birth, and then this whole reality check of, oh, there's a baby in my arms. So can you talk to us a
Yeah.
little bit about your pregnancy? Because for a while there was talk about you having a C-section, which wasn't your first choice. But can you tell us a little bit
Mhm.
about
Yeah, so I had a low-lying placenta and it was low-lying for quite a while. Normally by your 20-week scan, it's moved and mine hadn't. So they thought they weren't telling me at that point I'd need a C-section because they still had hope that it would move. Um, but that was sort of the idea. It was the road it was going to go down. And then on one of my scans or one of my checkups, um, they noticed that my bump was fifth centile, so very small, and Ivan was 90th centile. So he was really too large for my body at that point. And so then that would have been a C-section also. So I had quite a few scans actually. I think I had about five or six scans during my pregnancy, to make sure that Ivan was not growing too big for me and my bump was growing around the same stage. And eventually, they'd plateaued. So Ivan became 50th centile. I don't know how that happened, 90th to 50th. And then my bump had gone to 50th. So they were at the same stage. So that was good. So, and by that point, also, I think about 32 weeks, they noticed that my placenta had moved also. So then I was told I wouldn't need a C section. And I felt a wee bit unsure then because I was so prepared for a C-section. I felt, and I, the power had sort of been taken from me that I wouldn't have to. Um, I don't know. I wasn't sure if I was ready then for a natural birth. Although I always wanted one, and
that?
yeah. So it was quite an adjustment, I think, with 8 weeks to go to find out that I didn't need a C-section anymore.
It's a really
Um,
interesting thing as well, because so many midwives will tell you that your baby will never be bigger than your body. Your baby will always be
mhm,
delivered, and then other midwives will tell you that no, your baby's definitely too big for your body. And it's like trying to get a gauge and a handle on how that actually works, because obviously your body adapts in so many different ways. Out of interest,
yeah.
Roxy, how tall are you?
Oh, I'm only five, maybe five,
Yeah.
6. Yeah, I'm not very tall. I'm quite petite as well. So, yeah, it was a bit, they were a bit worried about how big Ivan was compared to my body. And I don't think they would have put me through a natural birth, even if my placenta had moved.
Yeah.
If Ivan was that big, I wouldn't have wanted that either.
It's really interesting because we had two of the other mums in the snug who gave birth last month. I think they were 5 foot and 5'1", and they both had vaginal births as well. So it's like this
Hmm.
idea in so many ways that when you're more petite and small, that you're obviously going to need lots of intervention. But then all three of you have
Yeah,
gone on to prove that actually there's quite amazing things that can happen. So
yeah.
towards the end of your pregnancy, then you were having, well, certainly from the third trimester, you were having lots of Braxton Hicks, those kind of practice contractions, weren't you?
Yes, I was having so many of those, and actually, from yes, so I was having them from about I can't remember, from about 30 weeks or 32 weeks. I can't remember when I said to you earlier, and also about 4 weeks before he was born, I was getting them. They were a lot stronger, so I thought this can't be just Braxton Hicks, and I felt every morning I'd wake up and it was like almost like a con. I was being conned into think I was starting labour. Um, and I had also been prepped to um, have an early labour because my mum's only delivered 2 out of 6 children to full term.
Okay.
And with Ivan being so big at the time, they felt that I should be prepared in case I go prematurely into labour. So I had had my bags packed from I think 32 weeks, I had my bags packed and they were ready to go. And so I was amazed. I made it to full term. I couldn't believe it. 2 days before my due date, I gave birth to Ivan.
So cute. Hello. He's like, yes, you did. I'm here.
I know.
And so what did it feel like on the day where you then went from your kind of warm-up contractions to, oh, there actually is something else going on here? Did your waters break, or talk to us a little bit about that day?
So because it was still garden visits at that time, we were up at our friend's house in her garden, and we were sitting outside, and it got quite late. It was about, I think we left it about 10 o'clock at night, and it was dark and it was cold, and I was sitting on this bench, and I felt I was getting like cramps, period like cramps in my back and my hips. I felt them a lot in the bones of my hips, and I just thought at that point it's because I was sitting out in the cold and on a bench also, and I hadn't been moving. I figured it must just be cramp from that. And then so we came home, and an hour later my water broke on the couch. And I ran to the toilet. Dale was beside me, and I ran to the toilet because I was like, what was that? Then I thought, I think that is my waters. And I came back through and I said to Dale, I think my waters have broken, but I'm not totally sure. So I'm going to go to bed. And he thought, oh, well, I'll do the same just in case that is your waters. And then so I went to bed, and then about 1 a.m, I never really slept, to be honest, because I was really thinking, is this happening now? I wasn't sure. And then about 1 a.m, I thought, this is definitely my waters, because it wasn't stopping. And then so I phoned the ward 9A, and they told me to come in. They told me to they also told me to put a pad on to check if it was my waters. So that's fine. I did that. So we arrived about 1:30, and then they checked me over and they said, no, I don't think it was your waters. Think it's maybe just some discharge. And I thought, no, that was definitely my waters. And then they said, well, if you like, because you've come all the way in and it's 1 a.m, and Dale was in the car at the time because he wasn't allowed to come in. Yeah. They said, we can do an examination. And I said, yeah, please, I'd like that. And then so they examined me, and my whole hind waters had gone, all of them, and also I was 2 centimeters dilated. So I couldn't believe it. And the lady, they were so lovely in there, and the lady offered me a sweep then. She said, we can give you a sweep, and this will potentially hurry things along, or it might not do anything. But if it doesn't do anything, you have to come in at, I think it was like 9 o'clock at night the next day, or that night. So I said, okay, I'll take this sweep. And then the sweep was fine. I felt it was totally fine. And then we got home. By the time we got home, it was, I think, about 4 o'clock in the morning. So poor Dale had sat in the car that whole time, and he was a bit scared. He wasn't sure if he could go for a coffee or not, because we had to take my bags in too. And he had no idea. We weren't communicating with each other. So he was in the car for 2 hours, not knowing what was going on. And then, so that's fine. So we got home about 4 a.m, and I made myself a cup of tea. I kind of accepted I wasn't going to get much sleep that night. And then by 8 a.m, my contractions had started coming on quite a bit stronger. So woke Dale up. He had slept that whole time. and then because he runs his own business, we had to sort out the boys for work. So it was hilarious, Sophia, because we had to get one of the boys to come in to get the keys for the garage and the vans. And I was sitting on the couch doing my in for 4, out for 8. Like, hi, Ryan. And then I know, but I was really calm. I was so calm. The breathing techniques were amazing. And then I asked Dale to run me a bath, and so went into the bath, and I was doing I had sort of written down a lot of affirmations, and I think they really helped me. I think I was so telling myself I could do it, and my body was made for it, and such like that. Yeah. And I was also doing the rocking. There was a rocking move that you did in the yoga. Yeah. and it was you. I think it's you breathe in as you go forward and then out as you go back. So I was doing that in the bath. So by about I think it was 10 o'clock, I phoned the ward and I said, I really think I need to come in. My contractions are coming on quite strong. I can't remember the times of the contractions. Dale was timing them for me. But I was told that they sort of don't count that anymore. I can't remember what they said to me at the time. It was all a bit of a blur, but they said, no, with it being your first, and um, we try to encourage you to stay at home as long as possible. And I thought, oh gosh, okay. So I was in the bath and my mum was texting Dale saying, don't leave Roxy in the bath, because whenever she went for a bath with any of us, we came apparently rapid after that. I think it can go one or two ways. You can labour really quick or you can labour really slow once you're in the bath. And then so poor Dale was running back and forth, and we'd been told not to come into the hospital, and he'd been told not to leave me alone, and I was saying to him, leave me alone. And then so by about 11, I phoned them back and I said, I can't stay home any longer. I feel so much pressure. I feel like I could honestly push him out now. And they were like, okay, well, if you come into ward 9A, come into ward 9A, and then we will examine you, and then we'll see how you get on from there. But I was very calm on the phone. I was really calm. So I'm not surprised they didn't think I was as progressed as I was. So we got to ward 9A. Well, sorry, actually, Dale was to stay in the car, but because I knew I was definitely in labour, I said, you're not staying in the car, you have to come in with me. And then so I made Dale walk in with me, and the ladies were like, oh, you can't come in here, so sorry. And then I was like, I'm going to be sick, like that, to one of the midwives. So then they ran and got me a sick bowl, and they thought, okay, actually you better stay, Dale. So then they told Dale to stay and examined me in ward 9A, and then they found, I think it was 9A, ward 9, and then they found I was 6 centimeters dilated. So I was absolutely over the moon by that. I had fully expected to be taken in and sent back home. I was so worried about that. And so then they sent me up to the labour ward by that point, and I asked for some diamorphine, because I got to that stage where I thought, oh, I don't think I can do this. I was really, I was doing so well at home, and then I had a bit of a panic moment that I just didn't feel like I could do it. I don't know what stage I was at with dilation at that point. And then the midwives I had were so lovely. They were so sweet. And then I think, I can't remember what happened. It's a bit of a blur, especially because I had the diamorphine. But I had only pushed for 40 minutes. And before that, I had asked for an epidural when I had the diamorphine, because I thought the diamorphine would be pain relief. I didn't realize it's just something to take the edge off. And then the ladies were saying to me, yes, we can absolutely get you an epidural. But I was actually pushing at that point, and they knew that they wouldn't be able to give me an epidural, but they weren't telling me that. So it was really nice that they did that. And within 40 minutes of pushing, Ivan was here by 5 to 5 at night, and I just got a graze. And they complimented me on my breathing techniques, and they told me that with my breathing techniques and also listening to them when they were telling me to stop pushing and when to push, that's why I only got a graze. It was quite amazing. Yeah.
I love that you've been complimented on your breathing techniques.
They did.
You're in the middle of birthing your baby and they're still like, wow, she's amazing.
I know. And I was doing it even with the gas and air. I was trying it too. But yeah, they said that combination and listening to them, their instructions, with being so calm, because I was really calm until the point where I felt like I can't do this. And I think a lot of women get that. There's a point, I've been told, in your labour that you feel like, oh, I don't think I can do this anymore. And yeah, the midwives were just so lovely. They kept me so calm too, and Dale's really good at keeping me calm when I think I can't do something as well. So it was quite an amazing experience in home.
Is that part of when you reach transition where you move from your kind of first stage of labor into the pushing stage, or just at the moment before your baby's about to be born, where it's such a strange sensation to people that they're just like, oh,
Yeah,
what is going on? You know, that is the
yeah,
I can't do this moment. And more often than not, we hear from mums, especially if you've done a lot of preparation with yoga or with hypnobirthing, that you come across as so calm that often medical staff, whether it's consultants or midwives or anybody else in between, they often think, ah, she's not very far on. You know, you've not come running in going, the baby's
yeah.
coming, do something. You're just like, yes, so I think I'm quite far on. Like, no,
They
you're
were
not.
amazed. I know, and they were amazed with it being my first, also with how calm I was, and how I managed, like how it was not easy, but the transition just happened so naturally for me. And I was on all fours too, and I think that really helped. I wouldn't lie on my back.
Yeah.
I wasn't comfortable on my back either, but I remember leaning against the bed. They'd propped the bed up for me, so I was holding the back of the bed and had my gassonet there, and I was on my knees, and that definitely helped. So that's how I pushed, and then I ended up lying more on my side.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was quite amazing, and the pushing was a relief, I would say. I wouldn't say that was the hardest part of the labor for me at all. It was a really relieving stage.
And can you describe that pushing for us? Because so often women think that they have to like really grit their teeth and kind of push, but actually it's the bearing down that happens within the body. Did you feel like you needed
Yeah.
to give it a little nudge along, or did you feel like your body was just kind of taking over and doing it? How was it?
My body was taking over and doing it definitely, and I felt okay, just let that happen. So I let that happen, and it did feel a wee bit unnatural to do that, and especially when they tell you to stop pushing. I did give it a bit of a nudge, I think, at the end, because I thought, okay, get him out. But it was quite strange. Like I felt the whole thing, like him going down and being pushing, and it's an odd pressure, I'd say. I don't know how to describe it. It's a lot of pressure, but it's relieving pressure.
Mm.
It's yeah, it's you feel like it's just good to get to that stage, and yeah, I was just don't know how else to describe that actually. I was on time morphine.
And you know at that moment that your baby is so, so much closer to being in your arms, don't you? It's like any minute
Yeah,
he's going to be there. So
yeah.
was Dale there at the actual moment that Ivan was born?
Yes, and Dale cut the cord, and we didn't find out what Ivan was beforehand either. So it was really lovely to find out we had had a wee boy. It was really special. Yeah.
Amazing. And then did you have plenty of time for all that kind of skin to skin and just hang out
Yeah,
together?
they were so great in the ward. They left me for an hour with Ivan on me skin to skin. They couldn't do delayed clamping um of the cord because he had had the diamorphine and he wasn't crying. So they felt like okay, they just sort of um to waken him up a wee bit. So that I was okay with that because it was a bit of a worry that he wasn't crying.
Yeah.
And then they put him on me, and that was really lovely. And we had our skin to skin, and also because I was so exhausted, I hadn't slept the night before. Um, the lady, my midwife, I wanted to breastfeed, so she actually hand expressed me and got the colostrum in a syringe and fed it to Ivan. And I think, and she was really amazing. I think she really helped with our breastfeeding journey too, because we got to go home the next day also because Ivan he had a brilliant latch. And yeah, it was just, we were really lucky with our midwives as well. I think they made the whole situation also very calming, and they were just really great.
And
And
what
then
and such an
mhm,
amazing support when you've got people like that you feel safe and secure with, because that's such a huge part of you.
yeah,
You know, as you were saying, part of you
yeah,
before was scared that when you went in, you might get sent home. And if you're sent home, even if somebody sends you home in the nicest possible way, you still feel a bit naughty, don't you? So you can go home again.
I know. I know, and I think if you go in and you're expected to be sent home, especially if you feel like you're at a stage where you're about to not cope with the pain, that's heartbreaking. That must be really heartbreaking for a lot of mums. And I did not want that for me and Ivan, because I knew I never had a strict birth plan, because well, my mum's had 6 children, and we were all such different births, and again, she never carried all of us to full term, so I just was prepared for anything to happen, and I was also prepared to potentially have to get a C-section, maybe, because that happens to some mums. So I didn't have a strict birth plan at all, and I think with having that also helped with me being calm, because I was just kind of I mean, I didn't want to have an episiotomy. Episiotomy, is it? Yeah,
Yep.
I didn't want to have that. But of course, if that was what needed to be done, I was accepting of that at the time, and I think that's what helped me keep quite calm too.
So I think you did have a birth plan. Your birth plan really was to stay as calm as possible and do what you needed to do.
Yes, I know.
Plan.
Well, even Dale, I didn't want an epidural, but I asked for the epidural when I got to this stage that I didn't think I could cope. And Dale said to me, he said, "Are you sure, Rox? I don't think you want that, Rox." And I was like, "Dale, shut up! You don't know what I want." But it was too late for an epidural, and I'd gotten to that stage on my own, and I knew deep down I didn't need one, but I just thought, oh gosh,
It's really interesting what you said about the rocking in the bath as well, because I know another lady who had her heart absolutely set. She was having an epidural, and that was it. That was her birth plan. She wanted an epidural. And when she went into labor, she did that rocking for what she thought was about 40 minutes or so. It was for 5 hours. And so at the end of her doing all of the rocking, she was completely dilated. And the midwife basically said to her, "Well, you don't need your epidural now." She's like, "I have to have my epidural." She's like, "But wait, I'm not feeling any pain." So she didn't need it. And she had totally vaginal birth, nothing else that she needed for it. But she was convinced that she had only been doing that rocking for about 40 minutes or so. It's like, no.
Yeah, it's such a blur, the time.
Yeah.
The time is such a blur, and gravity, I think gravity definitely helped with Ivan coming so quick, because my active labor, when I looked back on my hospital notes, my active labor said it was only 4 hours or 4 to 5 hours, including the pushing for 40 minutes. And I think that's quite quick, isn't it, for getting to that stage? And I think it's because I was on, again, all fours, and the rocking in the bath definitely helped, and the heat of the water was so good also. I had hoped for a water birth, but I never had my heart set on it. But by the time we'd got to the ward, I was too progressed to get in the pool, and by the time they would have been able to fill the pool and everything.
Ivan would have been here, just like that.
I know.
And so
I probably could have had him at home, to be honest, if I had stayed at home any longer.
Yeah, and do you think you would have been comfortable with that in hindsight, knowing what the birth was like? Would you then have been comfortable to have had that at home on your own with Dale there and maybe a midwife?
Yeah, with a midwife I would have been, because with them telling me when to push and when to stop pushing, I hadn't appreciated how important that was. And I'm one of these people that I don't like to do anything wrong. I don't, in case I get in trouble. So I really did listen to them. But it does feel unnatural when they tell you to stop pushing, and you can feel like a bulge, I'd say, like the head there. But I listened to them. I thought they know what they're talking about, and thank goodness I did. That's why I didn't tear. Yeah. But I do think I probably could have had him at home. I think, maybe with my second, I'll be a bit more resilient mentally.
You know what to expect. Well, as we said, if you could have your second baby first, then everyone would just be chilled out about it. But you've had such a good experience anyway. That's really important. And so just to clarify, the reason the midwives were telling you to kind of push or then not push, or to allow the bearing down to happen more, was to help prevent the tearing so that there wasn't such a rapid descent at the end?
Yes, it's for a gradual stretch, I think they said, for my body to stretch gradually with him coming down. And so I was really lucky with that.
And then, as you say, home really soon, plenty of breastfeeding, good latch, feeling comfortable, happy with yourself, amazed at what's happened in 24 hours.
I I got up and showered straight away, and I was really surprised. I don't know what I expected to feel after birth, but I didn't expect to feel so good. Um, like being able to walk to the shower even an hour after giving birth. I walked to the labor, the not the labor ward, the ward where you go with your baby. I walked there as well. Yeah, it was just such a lovely experience. I really enjoyed my birth actually. I quite enjoyed talking about it, and yeah, I felt so good after it. It was one of the most amazing things I've done.
And does that surprise you to feel so good about it? Because we hear so many horror
Yeah,
stories, or people don't necessarily talk about it. And stories like yours, I've always said this with the mums that I work with, the positive stories get hidden so often because women don't want to be the kind of the smug mum, or the mum who had a good birth when somebody next to them had a difficult birth.
yeah.
But the more that you talk about positive births, the less fear there is, and the more awareness and kind of support there is for positive births as much as for births that could have been different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think also I'd had quite a lot of people telling me their birth horror stories almost. I don't know why that's a thing people think's okay to do when you're pregnant, especially with your first child. I think that's something people should be aware of, scaring people when they're pregnant with their first. But I knew not to listen to them. I thought, well, that's not, my birth will just be my birth and it'll be how it is. And I knew that it was a team effort. I went into it thinking, well, this is equally as traumatic for Ivan, or could be as traumatic for Ivan. So I was, uh, during my labour, I was also constantly thinking of him, and that helped quite a lot. It helped me. Maybe that helped him being born quicker too, because I really didn't want him to be stuck with me pushing for so long either. Um, yeah, yeah, it's quite. I don't know why people think that's okay to tell you their horror stories
I know.
of births.
I think when you're pregnant, is the easiest thing that people seem to think they want to do is talk to you about it. It's like, why would you do that? So no, it's
I
really good to
know.
be able to kind of thank you for that. Maybe another day we can have that story and give yourself a bit of that space. And so
Yeah.
you're making this look really easy, Roxy.
Oh, thank you. He's
I'm
sleeping. He
here.
sleeps so well on me. He doesn't sleep so well in his cot during the day.
Oh, bless him. He just wants to
Yeah,
be in his mum's arms. All good, all good.
yeah,
And so could you
no,
talk to us a little bit, because you were in the prenatal snug kind of February, March, April, and then Ivan born in May. How did that kind
yeah,
of support you? Because I remember getting messages from you going, it's so good, I can watch kind of back-to-back yoga and just keep doing stuff. How was the snug kind of support your journey, would you say?
yeah. Oh, so much. It was really nice that the yoga, especially. Um, so I had had that pelvic girdle pain, and I felt like with the pelvic girdle pain, I felt like I couldn't do the yoga. And then I think you'd sent me a message one day checking in on me, checking how I was. And then I thought, oh, I should just go and at least show face to the yoga, because I was just so sore. I didn't think that I don't know why I didn't think the yoga would help. I felt like the yoga would hinder it almost.
Yeah.
And then after I did one of the yoga sessions, I realized how much it had helped. And then when I had finally told you about my pelvic girdle pain, then you started you implemented some yoga moves into the yoga sessions for me. And also you adapted, so you would have a session for all the mums, and then for anyone with pelvic girdle pain, this is a move you can do. So I found that so helpful. And then I really looked forward to my Tuesday nights. It was
Oh,
something especially during lockdown to look forward to, with not being able to do anything. It was so nice to have that yoga, and I slept so well after it with the relaxation after too. So that was really lovely. And then seeing all the mums too posting in with having their babies was so nice, and especially when you've done other interviews with other mums and they've had such positive birth experiences, it just got me so excited for having Ivan too. It felt really real, and yeah, it was really great having some support, an antenatal support class during lockdown, because there's nothing available at all. Even I didn't know about going to how to even get to the ward the labour ward or anything, because all of that's closed. So yeah, it was really great that you've done the snug and had that available for mums to be, especially first time mums, I'd say.
I think what's
Yeah.
also really lovely with some of the mums that we've had in this year is some of them were second time mums round, but they had at least two of them had traumatic first births. And so they were quite unsure when they came in. Like, I don't want to talk about my traumatic first birth, just like you and I were saying, because
Yeah.
it's not always good to share that kind of trauma. So they were very quiet about those, but a little bit more apprehensive about their second time babies because of that.
Yeah, understandably.
And they both said that the second time babies, then it was such a healing experience to have gone into it with such a different awareness and knowledge and find out. And like you, so many people think that when you have pelvic girdle pain, you just don't want to move at all, but then you hold tight and you stay kind of tight. And obviously pelvic girdle pain's not up here, but I'm showing people this bit. But you hold tight and then it actually makes it worse. So finding the movement that you can do and everything to give you that support is really, really important. So it sounds like you just went into all of this with a really calm attitude, a positive attitude, and just, just determined to do the best that you could with whatever you needed to do.
Yeah, it definitely is all in the mind. Oh, hello. With panicking about birth, you do. That's why it's really great the snug also, because that it's really encouraging to really encourages you to have that calm mindset when you know other people are going through the same thing and learning the same techniques also. You know that, this is something worthwhile doing, obviously, and I'm so glad I did it. It was, a really great birth and we were really lucky. Yeah.
Well, it's an
Thank
absolute
you.
joy, absolute joy to have you guys there. And the other thing that's really fun, I got a message from one of the mums who's in the group at the moment. So one of the ladies who's a member of the snug, her mum messaged me the other day to say, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. My daughter feels so confident about pregnancy and I never thought that that's how she would feel. And I was like, oh,
that's so lovely.
Getting a message from grandmothers to be.
Oh, that's
thank you so
wonderful.
much. And I thought that's so nice, because if there's anything that you can do just to help create more of that calm and to help put that power back into people and to realize that, things don't have to, yes, we can have interventions, yes, we can have pain relief, we can have all of these things, and none of those things are a negative. If that's what needs to happen on the day to make the best possible, that's great, but it's how you feel about the birth. And if you come away from the birth feeling I failed because I had pain relief or I failed because I had an intervention, then you start off motherhood with that real feeling of being disempowered and that somehow you haven't done it right. So no matter what people have, just knowing that they did what they needed to do on the day to make sure that birth went as well as possible is so, so important. But you are making this look like an absolute breeze now. Ivan's going to get the best baby award.
I know, he's done well. He's tired. Oh, you're waking up.
So if there was one piece of advice that you would have for a first-time mum, Roxy, what would it be?
Keep calm. Definitely. It definitely is all in the mindset.
Yeah.
And you do not need to panic about birth, and you can really enjoy it. I didn't expect to enjoy my birth as much as I did. And I would do it all over again. Even after having Ivan, I said to Dale I would do that all over again. It was really quite amazing, and the rush of love you get is just the best. It's so good, and don't panic. It's really important.
Oh, beautiful. And I was thinking about what you said right at the beginning about sitting on the garden bench when you've been out chatting with your friends at that point. And part of me was wondering, maybe that also really got the oxytocin going, because in lockdown particularly, it's hard to keep that feeling of love. But when you're with friends and then the fact it's getting a bit darker, and that always makes us feel a bit more secure and kind of snuggly. And, you had a lot of love flowing that night that you went into labor.
You're probably right, because it was the first time we'd seen each other in quite a while, actually. So it was actually quite a special night, and everybody was talking about me and having the baby because our friends were getting married too. And then I said, oh, I don't know, I've made it this far. I just feel like I'm definitely going to go overdue now. I was so adamant that night that I was going to be overdue, and then lo and behold, an hour after leaving, my waters had broken. It was quite amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And
Mm-hmm.
when your waters broke, did you feel it as a trickle or like a gush, or did you have that kind of? I think I might have weed myself going on.
Yeah, it was like a pop. It was like a pop, and then like an involuntary, not a gash, I would say, but definitely trickle, and I just couldn't stop it. And that is the idea that your waters have broken, isn't it? That you can't stop it, because if you'd peed yourself, you'd be able to stop it, surely. But I just wasn't sure, and I didn't want to be embarrassed and go into the hospital and be turned away and told I'd peed myself. So I waited a couple of hours, and then I thought, yeah, it kept going. It wasn't stopping. So it was definitely my waters.
And it sounds like for you as well, the fact that you stayed at home for so long. Yes, you went in early, but then you came back again. And when you are at home for that long and you are in that relaxing place, albeit poor Dale running up and down the stairs, am I checking on him? She says, leave her alone, go back. So Dale got a year's worth of exercise up and down the stairs to check on you.
I know.
But for you, being at home gave you that space and that comfort. And as she said earlier on, you've got so many sisters, and you've just had that feeling of being safe where you were and knowing that you were still quite calm. It's amazing.
Yeah, I kept my eyes closed and I just rocked in the bath, and yeah, I think it was quite amazing how it progressed so quickly.
Good for you. I'm so happy for you. And you look just completely at home and comfortable with everything that you're doing. And little Ivan, he's like,
yeah. I know.
He's all
See if you can see him.
Oh, hey. Hello, gorgeous.
He's a wee blondie.
He's so cute. Oh, super.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add, Roxy?
No, I'm just really grateful for this snug. I think that's really helped me with my pregnancy. Because I don't know if you know to stay as calm as you can if you're doing these yoga and relaxation techniques and breathing techniques, and just being able to practice them every week, it became muscle memory. So yeah, I think this snug was really beneficial to Ivan and I.
Oh, thank you.
And Dale.
And Dale. We have to send Dale the male version of the snug for a little while.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that I was really keen to do the snug, and not just for lockdown, it's going to continue as well, even if I do also start having some face-to-face classes. But one of the things that's so important is that when we watch TV and films and stuff, when somebody's waters break or they have that first kind of like, oh, something happens, we then see them like blue lighted or going as fast as they possibly can to hospital, and it's quick, grab the baby bags, and everything is like chaos. And actually there doesn't need to be any of that. And so what I also realized, I've always lived in a really kind of calm way. Even as a student, I always had lots of candles and soft, like touchy things. I'm a really kinesthetic person, so I like lots of soft things around me and good textures. But it really dawned on me when I started going to people's houses and teaching them prenatal yoga or yoga classes that not everybody lived like that. And so trying to say to somebody, just stay home and relax, when they don't have a relaxing environment and they actually don't find their own environment relaxing, it's like, how do you even do that? And so with this snug, I'm really encouraging people to feel that calm at home, not just once a week when they walk into a yoga class and someone else has created, when you go to a spa and you walk in the door and you just get the smell and the candles and everything's lovely, but then they go home again and it's not like that. So it's really trying to get that lovely feeling of feeling calm and safe and secure at home and being able to stay there for as long as possible, and also trust that if they feel like they need to go to hospital sooner or a birth centre, whatever their plan is, that they will do that. But just being able to be at home makes such a huge difference. So you are setting an amazing example of what's possible for women everywhere, for first-time mums. So thank you so much for sharing that. And Ivan, you're a great little teammate.
I know, he's good.
He's done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roxy. I'll say bye-bye to everybody just now, and I'll speak to you in a second. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.